Good evening. It's Wednesday, April 12th, 2023, and welcome to the Town of Carmel Town Board. This is a work session. We have 14 items on the agenda. I call this meeting to order, and if everyone would please rise and face the flag, Councilman Baranowski is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. We recognize the sacrifices of our men and women in uniform serving all over the world, as well as the sacrifices and the dedication of our men and women of law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we begin with any resident or business owner that is here in the audience that would like to come up. 5 minutes? Huh? Okay, I'm just offering it to you. Seeing as how there are no takers on making comments, we're going to go on to the work session. So I ask that the town board please review the town board minutes from March 15th that you received from our town clerk. If you want to, no? Okay. So our first item is our police chief, Anthony Hoffman. Consider requests to declare old vehicles and equipment obsolete and authorize disposal. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. I have two items before you this evening. The first being a request to declare obsolete a number of electronic devices that we have downstairs in the police department. Our Administrative Sergeant, Neil Brown, as you can see in our memo, did an inventory of the electronic devices we have downstairs, and we determined that a number of them are obsolete. Either they're inoperable or the technology that they operate on wouldn't be workable with the stuff that we have currently. So in that list that you have, there are a number of laptops, modems, tablets, phones, and a couple of printers and a fax machine. So I would recommend that we, or the board, declare them obsolete so that we can dispose of them properly. And as I said in the memo, it's probably infinitesimal, but there is a small chance that there might be data on them. They were used obviously in police service. So in order to be certainly sure, I would have Sergeant Brown supervise the disposal of the devices.
Great. Anybody, comments, questions? Nope.
All right.
Yeah.
Number two. The second request I have before you is to declare the vehicles that we have that we no longer need or no longer operate, to declare them obsolete. And out of the four vehicles that you have before you on the memo, the first two are, the first one is a 2013 Chevrolet Caprice Color Silver. It's fleet number 315. That was Lieutenant Dearman's vehicle. Lieutenant Dearman has gotten a new vehicle. He's got a Durango. So this is the oldest car in the fleet. It has given us some mechanical problems. However, speaking with our mechanic, we still believe that there's some value in it in an auction, so we would like to declare it obsolete so we could put it up for auction. Same goes for the second vehicle up there, 2015 Dodge Charger Color White. That was our former car number 31. It's probably got the most wear and tear out of it, out of all the marked vehicles in the fleet, and on the recommendation of the mechanic, we should take it off the line. We've replaced it with another vehicle, and we could probably get some money off of that at auction. So also request that be declared obsolete, put up for auction. The remaining two vehicles were vehicles that we have from past seizures that were not in use. They're not operable. The first being a 1999 Ford Escort color blue, the second being a 2006 Nissan Altima color red. And for these two particular vehicles, I recommend that we declare them obsolete and donate them to our local fire departments. I've been in touch with Chief Lipton with Carmel FD and Chief Trace with Mahopac Falls FD. They're both willing to, well, they're graciously willing to accept these vehicles, use them for training, as the volunteer firefighters would use the Hearst tool and other entry tools in order to hone their skills. We'd like to donate them to the fire departments. And I've spoken to both chiefs in exchange for them letting Carmel police officers observe some of their training when they do forced entry and stuff like that. Stuff that we would be able to use in the event of an active shooter or the critical incident where we would have to get into a building or whatnot. So we're both in agreement with that. So therefore, I recommend we declare those cars obsolete and donate them to the fire departments.
Great.
These were, the first two were patrol vehicles the whole time?
Yeah, the first two are patrol vehicles. The first one was an unmarked, like I said, it was Lieutenant Dearman's car. The second one was a marked patrol car.
So we definitely got our money's worth out of them?
Yes,
Looking at the years.
yes, we did.
Do you have any idea what the mileage might have been on them?
The top one, I believe it was in the 90s. The second, the 2015, it might have been 6-digit,
Right, over
Yeah.
100, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, police vehicle used 24/7. It's whatever mileage you have on the odometer, the thinking is that you could probably multiply that by 3 with the wear and tear that you have on it.
Usually it's the hours that they
Yeah.
should count on the car.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, all right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
So our Town Controller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is up next. Consider budget revisions, March 2023. Mary Ann?
Good evening. See, these are the budget revisions for period ending March of 2023. In the general fund, the first one is a revision for the purchase of 2 police vehicles with anticipated delivery date. Now, the chief brought this to the board sometime in, I think it was like October of 2022 or even earlier. He didn't anticipate the vehicles to come until '23. So the money was to be funded from the 2023 budget. The vehicles came in 2022, late '22, I would say December. So the auditors caught this, and we had to charge the expense to 2022. So basically, this revision is taking it out of the budget for '23, and charging it to, and taking it from the fund balance, which we charged because we charged the vehicles to the 2022 as a '22 expense. So, all right, so that's what the first one is for. Second one is to provide for a payout of accrued time for a retiree in the engineering department. The payout was $56,725. Second one, provide for the purchase of a license plate reader and computer units from grant funding, $21,425. Number 4, provide for a police overtime for traffic control revenue from traffic control revenue. That's the Villa Barone. Year-to-date is $2,125. Number 5, transfer for the purchase of a generator from the Carmel Fire Department. This is coming from the contingent line. I believe that this generator may be used at a district down the road. If it is going to be transferred to a district, then the funds will be replenished into the general fund and charged to that district. Number 6, we're transferring for purchase and installation of EV charging stations. Now, this is a transfer to a capital fund. If you turn to page 2, number 18, I opened up a zero-emission vehicle capital fund, Fund 906. We're transferring the money. It's coming from the building special improvement line. $62,728 is coming from the general fund to be transferred into the capital fund. The grant that's going to cover this project is $52,272. So we had to cover the difference to go ahead with the purchase of those EV charging stations.
Mary Ann, with the charging stations, obviously there's a charge, you pay for charging your vehicle, correct?
Correct, yes,
So
once they're
would-
set up, yeah.
Once they're set up, so would we have an income line underneath
We'll
that
have
as
an
well?
income line in the capital fund. I wanted to keep this all separate, so that we're, tracking the revenue that's coming in.
Yeah.
Once they're up and running, yes, correct. Okay, back to page 1, number 7, transferring for police bicycle expenses. I believe bicycles were purchased, so that's $1,000. This is for the bike, to patrol the bike path. Transferring for recreation staff training of $1,500. In the highway fund, we're providing for the payout of accrued time for a retiree of $6,710. Carmel Water District Number 1 and Carmel Water District Number 8 on page 2, we're transferring for raw water pump and containment pad purchase. An estimate was included in the budget, but it came in over budget, so for those two districts. Carmel Water District Number 4, we're transferring for the purchase of booster station backup pump, $13,000. Carmel Water District Number 5 and Number 6, we're transferring for PFOA sampling. On page 2, Carmel Sewer District Number 4, transferring for emergency PVC pipe and PLC card replacement of $6,000. Carmel Sewer District Number 6, transferring for emergency submersive pump of $7,000. Sewer District Number 8, providing for equipment and contractual expenses from an insurance claim. This is an ongoing claim that began sometime in 2022. I think the overall claim was $90,000, so this should be the remainder of it. The Zero Emission Capital Fund I talked about already. Carmel Sewer District Number 5, Capital Fund, and Water District Number 14, Capital Fund, we're providing for capital project costs from approved borrowing. In Sewer District Number 5, it's $185,102 for proceeds of borrowing. Okay,
Great. Thank you.
that's it. You're welcome.
So Deputy Highway Superintendent Michael Martin is item number 3. Consider request to authorize funding for 2023 capital projects.
Yes,
Mike?
good evening, Board, Council. Yeah, I'd like to discuss the 2023. I know you all have a copy of it. I'll go through them one at a time if you like. So we have the capital drainage is, we're looking for $200,000, which is the same as last year. We're going to be safe with that. We have a lot of drainage projects up in Carmel this year, Seminary, Collier. We're doing a Hollister right now. We started that. Unfortunately, they are going up about 20%. We're so far so good with supply chain issues, though, so it's expensive, but we can get it. Capital paving, we're going up a bit there. We were, I think, $750,000 last year. We're looking for $900,000. I think we were discussing earlier that we used to get 10 miles of road, went down to 8, down to 7. We're lucky if we can get 6 miles of road with this now. We'll try to stretch it. Again, that's oil prices are driving everything, and they especially drive the asphalt. And last thing is capital equipment. Last year, you're looking for 600. We're looking for 625, which isn't terrible, mostly for the trucks. You know, Mike in the past is, we try to get 2 trucks a year. We're trying to, you know, they get old, they get salty. Last year, we didn't get our 2 trucks that we ordered. We haven't even received those yet. Again, supply chain. And this year, we're looking for 2 more trucks, just to keep our fleet healthy. And I guess the important thing here is we don't have the state budget yet. So we don't know what our CHIPS money or our state aid is. It won't be less than last year, but we're hoping for some more. You know, Mike went up, a lot of these superintendents went up, and they lobbied for money, and it looks like there's more, but we just haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, Assemblyman Slater was saying that we should be getting more. So I was up on Seminary today.
Yep.
And Mechanic Street. So a resident was showing me where the new condos are, the water, that and Tango, the water comes down, doesn't catch the catch basins. I know a lot of roads need help, and we have a 30-year plan and the whole thing that you say, but can we take a look at least redirecting the water so that it does catch
So
those?
that's in the plan, it's on the agenda. We're taking Seminary from Mechanic all the way down to Church. So we're,
But Mechanic, only where they did the, now there's a new dead end, and they redid the road there on Mechanic.
yeah.
But down Mechanic, there's a problem apparently with the water,
Oh,
according
on-
to the resident, if you could.
On Mechanic?
On Mechanic, yeah.
I'll look at it for you.
please.
Mike, is the 6 miles, is that our target this summer?
My target is 7 miles. I put it a little thinner, but,
Don't skip.
you know, we go, what happens is, you know, we pay by the ton, and we
Yeah.
keep a good eye on it, and there's receipts, and we watch it. But sometimes it gets a little wider, a little thicker. We do some leveling. I'm hoping we get another 7 miles out of it, but it's just the cost. You know, I run until we run out of money.
Yeah. My concern is, obviously, the board has talked about this, but over time, the number seems to keep coming down and down and down, right? And maybe that's something we need to talk about offline, but, you know, at the end of the day, the question is, what's the bottom? Do you know what I mean? If it keeps going down, we're gonna get down to 1 mile a year. We got a lot of roads.
Yeah,
What do
we-
we have, 180?
About 180 miles of road,
180 miles.
and it's, do the math. But yeah, it'd be nice
Well, I'll
to,
be here in 180 years.
it would be nice to get it, you know, back up to 10 miles a year.
Yeah.
But we're doing a lot of drainage, something that hasn't been done in the past. Mike has done it, and, you know, drainage is key before we do anything. So we're putting a lot of time and money into the ground, and water management is one of the biggest things we could do now. And, you know, the more we do there down the road, our roads will last a little longer, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'd like to add also, in my neighborhood, Collier Drive, east, west, and Collier, that drainage, I don't think has been done, probably close to 25 years I've been there.
Yeah, so we're up, there. Is that your neighborhood?
Yeah,
Oh,
then there's a
we're-
lot of water issues with the neighbors, and
So we're up there. That is another one of the big drainage, not issues, but one of the projects we have planned. So I think we've already marked out up there. If you drive around, you could see our white lines.
perfect.
But we're picking all of that up, and this stuff's old, you know?
I don't think the catch basins have any catch to them anymore.
No, some of them are gone, yeah.
Yeah.
It's running wild up
Yeah.
there. But that is actually our next job, as a matter of fact, after Hollister.
Okay, awesome. Good to hear.
Have we gotten an update on the ETA for the delivery of the 2 trucks
No.
from last year?
So they won't even take our order for this year.
Okay.
And, you know, we get updated. And what happens is that they're manufactured, and then they go to an outfitter, and they get outfitted, and, you know, they do keep us up to date. But we're used to this. I mean, we know we're not going to see them for a year. And COVID, we waited even longer. And this is, you know, we discussed it last time I was here, but we're still on the back of COVID, and we haven't seen last year's trucks. And we have great mechanics. I mean, I think most of you know, we have real mechanics, and they patch them together, and we have some spare trucks, they limp along, so we can get it done, but, you know, the problem is putting money into these old trucks is not worth it, so.
Understood.
Salt does it.
The salt does it, you know, and we use them. You know, we have tough roads here, and we're out using those trucks.
Thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Well done.
Mary Ellen? Mary Ann?
Do you want me to leave?
No, she's going to yell at you now.
Stay, 'cause you talked
You
about all,
misspoke.
he talked about all that stuff. I have to talk about how we're gonna pay for all this. So, the capital drainage, and capital drainage and capital paving, I can contact bond counsel tomorrow and have him prepare the bond resolutions if the board wants me to do that. Okay, is that? With the capital drainage, I just want to talk about how we ended last year. With capital drainage, we ended with $11,000, so we pretty much used all of the funding that were allocated in 2022. Okay, in capital paving, because we had the money from the county with the sales tax sharing and the ARPA funding, they gave us $502,000. So we were able to use that money towards a lot of the paving jobs last year. So we do have an excess of $430,000, okay, in capital paving, on top of the $900,000 that he's asking for. So does the board still want me to go ahead with a $900,000 borrowing? Or, since we have a carryover of $430,000, you know, it will give us.
Can we keep a fund like that we can
We can.
siphon off
What
of
we can
each
do
year?
is, what we can do is authorize the $900,000, and we'll only issue a ban for what we use.
Quick question, Mike. Will you also do resurfacing before you repave to save on some of the asphalt?
We will.
Okay.
And it depends on the roads. We have to, we're still doing some assessing Depending on what the roads are and what's in there, we will do resurfacing. Some of them are just not resurfaceable.
Mike, with the, obviously with the nicer weather coming, can you start it any sooner? And number two, if we gave the full $1.3 million, can you pave roads from now until October?
So we've been starting sooner, and what we've been doing in-house is, we've been doing some smaller roads in-house. So we have our own paver. We can't do big projects, but of course, less money to do it ourselves. So we have started paving sooner. We try to get out paving sooner. The problem is partially manpower, and we have to get the drainage in the ground. So this year, I've actually started the drainage sooner than ordinary. So hopefully, we get the drainage done sooner, we can get out paving sooner.
But what seems to me what you're saying is that even if you had $1.3 million of paving money available, you probably couldn't use it all this year.
I probably could,
You probably could.
yes. Because some roads might not need drainage, and I could pave them. You know, we hold off on them, and I'm sure you've heard it, you know, we burn a road and they say it's terrible because it sits all summer, because we don't pave until the end. Or we can still do our drainage after it's been burnt or reclaimed.
So
Here,
you're-
we have some roads that are ready to go, some smaller drainage issues that we can knock out in a few days, and then we can pave that road.
So you're roughly, if we authorize the 1.3, would be roughly 10 miles?
Roughly 10 miles. And we'd shoot for it. I mean, if that's what the board wants as well,
And the only reason
Or
I'm
doesn't want that.
And the only reason I'm asking the time frame is because, I don't have an issue borrowing the 900 plus adding the 400 if we can use it this year and pave the roads.
Right.
But if you don't think we can, do it all this year, then why would we borrow the 900? Just use, whatever, 700 of it plus the 4.
So we do have another item on the wish list from Highway.
Yes.
He wants a vac truck. He's been asking for a vac truck, which that will eat up that 400,000, right?
Yeah, but the 400,000 is in the paving capital
That's
fund.
paving line.
That's a paving line, so I'm not sure you can,
That would have to be come from-
Well,
equipment.
wouldn't you take the excess money and move it into the
No,
general
because the
fund?
excess, because the money, no, you can't, because the money was used with a bond authorization last year for paving. So you can't.
Oh, so it's
you
tied
can't.
to the bond,
It's
has to
tied
be used for
It's
paving.
tied to paving, yeah, yeah. We were able
Why
to
didn't you tell me
use, we were able to use the county money, so that's why we have the excess. But you can't transfer between, because the authorization is for paving, not for equipment, so.
So we could bond for a
But
little bit less
we could
this year.
authorize the 900,000, you can authorize the 900,000, but then when I go for the bond sale in October, September, October, if they've only paved, 7 miles, then we only issue a ban for, 700,000.
Right.
So, you can authorize up to 900,000, doesn't mean you have to spend it.
Or we
It's
can
almost
carry-
like the Water District Number 2, we authorized 13 million, we're only spending
8.
8 million,
Yeah.
So,
Or we can carry that money forward again into next year.
yes, you can carry
Just
it
use
over
a
to next
portion of
year.
it.
Correct, but it has to be, it has to stay with the paving.
10 miles if we can,
Yeah,
Well, and
we
we,
gotta move that needle in the right direction.
I can move that without a problem, but and then we would keep the board updated. I mean, if we fall short and there's more drainage and we can't get to the roads,
Yeah.
it's no harm, no foul, but I'm not opposed to doing the 10 miles.
So it looks like the consensus here is do 10 miles if you can, so.
I don't know if the materials are gonna get any cheaper waiting
No.
for another year, so if it needs to be done, we should do it.
I agree.
Sure.
so I'll contact bond counsel and have them do the resolutions for the 200 and the 900. As for the equipment, 625,000, we do not have to borrow for that. We do have a fund balance that has been set aside. The fund balance has 850,000 in it. We also budget 150,000 each year in that line, so we do have $1 million for equipment. Okay, so I don't know if that vac truck that they are looking for, we do have funding for that in that
He
equipment
says it
fund
every year,
balance.
but he's got
But it
to,
hasn't come before us, right?
No.
No, he says it,
Right.
right?
So, I'm sorry. Go
Or
ahead.
going to your, you know, our main thing is plowing these roads and doing drainage and paving the roads. We have other equipment, and we do. We have vac trucks, we have a tree truck, a boom truck, and they really are being held together by Band-Aids. So, you know, we're looking, and we put it off and put it off, but we're moving some real junk right now, but we know the budget constraints.
It's a 2010, I think, 2010 International, I think, the older vac
You
truck.
can't
is-
even look at the years, so they're just,
It's
you have to
old.
look at them.
But Mike Simone has mentioned that before to me, that he wants one, but whatever you guys
Yeah.
decide.
Yep.
But unless it comes before the board and you're asking for it, it's not in front of us yet, so.
Yeah,
there's no-
at some point, we'll be asking for it.
With the dump truck, so are you going, do you want a resolution? Because that, you're saying that,
Need a resolution for that?
well, you do need a resolution, yes, but the funding is in place, so I don't know. For a resolution, you would need the specifics. You would need a quote. You do have quotes on it?
Okay, so if the funding's in place, I'll have the quotes for you, like, they won't even quote them right now or sell them.
You have to go back into a work session.
Well,
So,
yeah, we were just here for money.
Marion, why would we
We
pass
don't
a
have any.
resolution for the trucks if we don't even have a quote for the trucks?
I'm sorry?
If we don't have a quote for the trucks,
Right, well, I
How
wasn't
can we-
sure if there was a quote yet.
right, so we can't
Okay.
even do a quote.
That's what I was asking, if
Yeah,
there's
they
no
won't
quote.
talk to him.
Okay, so if there's no quote, then you don't get a resolution yet.
Okay. What Mary Ann says goes. Thanks, Mary Ann.
you.
All right. Thank you all.
Have a good night, Mike.
Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
So Lake, the number four, the fourth item is Lake Cassie Park District Advisory Board. Consider request to authorize setting pay rates for summer part-time help. We have an email from Terry. They want to set the salary for Lake Cassie summer 2023. Lifeguards will be $14 to $19 range an hour, and gate guards will be $13 to $19 an hour. So this is,
About the same rate from last year, or is it up a little?
it went up a little. And they also have their newsletter that is prepared. That's the fifth item. Everybody has a copy of it. We read through it in the supervisor's office. It looks pretty good. They really do a great job, Lake Cassie, with events and their newsletter. So this, when the board authorizes it, will be mailed out to the residents with their beach tags, I believe, in the envelope. Richard Franzetti is our sixth item. Our town engineer, PE, consider request to authorize awarding of bid for water tank building, concrete repairs, C269 for Carmel Water District Number 9. Richard?
Good evening, Board.
Anything?
On March 23rd, 2023, bids were opened by the town clerk for the reference project, which is the water tank building concrete repairs at Carmel Water District 9. Bid opening results were provided with the attachment. Scope of work involves the repair of the concrete masonry, replacement of the water tank building and roof, which has a huge hole in it right now. A total of 4 sets, bid sets were picked up by prospective bidders. No addendums were added to this particular file. Weston & Sampson performed an analysis of the apparent low bidder cost. The assessment is provided in the attachment. 2 contractors, Pepito Construction Company and TAM Enterprises, submitted bids for the project. TAM Enterprises had a low bid of $164,100. Pepito had it at $298,000. There's a table that's provided in the attachment which provides the bonding that was provided for this. The existing bond for the project was $165,000. And based on the cost, we will exceed the approved funding by $14,620. However, once the ARPA funds and water tank grant fundings are provided, the project will be short $9,168, which can be funded through the operating budget in Carmel Water District 9, as identified by the town controller. There will be budget transfer needed. Based on the evaluation provided by Weston and Sampson, experience of the bidder, project needs, and past experience with TAMs, we recommend that the contract be awarded to TAM Enterprises as the lowest qualified bidder.
Great.
Why such a big difference in prices?
That I can't
Way
answer.
up.
I don't know that answer.
We usually get that, though.
Unfortunately, we only had 2 bids, so it's hard to give a harder assessment. If we had a third, we might have been able to say one was way out of line. Obviously, one here is way out of line, right? So this is what we anticipated the number to come in at about last year. We had, the board may remember, we did reject these bids last year. We only had a single bidder, and we didn't have sufficient funds at the time. It came in a lot higher than what was anticipated, again, due to supply chain issues, due to COVID, due to that whole host of things going on. It's still going on, so.
The difference was the finished work between the two was a $100,000 difference.
All right.
Any questions?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, and then our next item, again, Richard Franzetti, PE, Town Engineer. Consider request to accept proposal for purchase and installation of CMF mud well pump number 1 in Carmel Sewer District number 2.
So Infomark, the operators of Sewer District 2, advise the engineering department that the mud well pump, which recycles backwash and drainage from the CMF units, are currently out of service. We are currently running solely on one pump, number 2, which is also in need of repairs. This is an emergency request, as there are currently no backup pumps at this site. Infomark requested and received a quote to install the pump with $36,035. The pump being replaced is about 17 years old, and the life expectancy of the new pump is about 15. Just so the board is aware, we did anticipate this coming up in this upcoming budget. So we already had sufficient funding for it. It was something we discussed with our operators in August of last year. The project was completed by the regulatory upgrade and were financed through New York State EFC, and the town will be reimbursed 50% of the cost. Sorry, Frank, I should have led with that. I know you like when I do that, so, sorry.
And it's going to take a long time to get our money, as usual. And microfiltration, would you just, CMF is?
Yes, always, microfiltration units, yes.
And that's what,
So what the plant, most wastewater treatment plants go, you have a primary, a secondary, and in this case, the microfiltration is a tertiary treatment. It was required at 4 out of our 6 plants in the town of Carmel, the 4 plants that are located in the New York City DEP watershed. The New York City DEP did fund the entire build-out of those tertiary plants, the microfiltration units. We have them at sewer districts 2, 4, and 7. Did I say 4 of them? There's only 3 of them, I apologize, that are with the microfiltration. Their plant over here, the Mahopac plant, has tertiary treatment. So what it does is it lowers the phosphorus number to an exceedingly low number so as to protect the drinking water supply into the reservoirs, because it's a phosphorus-restricted basin. So.
thanks.
Thank you.
And then item number 8 is, again, our Town Engineer, Richard Franzetti, PE. Consider request to accept proposal for inflow and infiltration assessments, Carmel Sewer District number 5, New York State DEC notice of violation. So the I&I?
Correct. This is under the consent order or consent decree that particular facility is under. The consent decree has to deal with nitrogen and nitrogen levels, which is what the driver was originally, because New York State changed the classification of the water body. Our plant was not able to meet the seasonal ammonia limits, nitrogen limits. We are having issues with flow. They haven't cited us for flow yet, but we do have flow exceedances at that plant. And so, we need to we are under consent decree to have a new plant operational by July of 2025. It's currently under design. It's going to be bid out and, built out and installed by then. We can't have flow exceedances the day we open up that plant. It's just, we might as well not do anything, right? So we had done some smoke testing in November of 2022. Repairs have been made to the infrastructure in the vicinity of the wastewater treatment plant, and we're still having these flow exceedances. So We requested Infomark obtain quotes to do a more detailed flow assessment to find exact areas where the inflow and infiltration is occurring so that we can further evaluate and make repairs as necessary. Infomark received a quote from Duke's Root Control in the amount of $24,000. It is a proprietary flow detection system that they're using, so based on the town's procurement policy, it can be characterized as a sole source provider, and the board can waive any procurement policies based on that criteria. So this work will be funded through the capital project funding of Carmel Sewer District 5. Mary Ann had mentioned it a little earlier tonight, and we recommend the approval of Duke's Root Control for this proposal.
Yes, so raising that catch basin down by the plant that wasn't the water.
It did marginally help, but we're still getting, the flow is still coming in, so it's coming from, there was water getting in there. I guarantee you there was water getting in there.
Yeah.
It's just coming now from further up in the collection system. So,
Thank you. And then the ninth item is consider request to authorize emergency purchase and installation of a raw water pump for Carmel Water District Number 8.
so B&J, the operators of Carmel Water District 8, advised the engineering department there was a hole and leak in one of the three raw water intake pumps. The three raw intake pumps are operated cyclically and never more than 2 at a time, leaving the third pump as a spare. B&J provided a temporary plug. There's a picture of it, and it seems to be getting larger as we go forward. So as the pump keeps getting used, the pump needs to be plugged more frequently. The need for a redundant pump is considered an emergency, and this department requested B&J obtain quotes for the raw intake pump. Note there's a 10 to 12-week lead time for delivery. B&J requested and received quotes at the amounts of $17,091 and $18,435. The B&J advised the department that the pump being replaced is about 20 to 25 years old, and the life expectancy of the new pump is 15 to 20 years. As you well know, Board, this plant serves water districts 1, 8, 10, and 13, so that cost gets distributed based on the flows, basically, that go to each district. There's a summary on the memo that we gave. I'll also note that we did consider this purchase as something in the 2023 budget when we met with B&J, and there are sufficient funds for the expense provided.
Thanks. So we'll do a resolution for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you very much, Board. Have a good night.
Yes, have a good night. See you tomorrow. So number 10 is a request from Andrea O'Brien, New York State ABC Law Consulting Group, for us to waive the 30-day notice requirement, Section 64 of the Alcohol Beverage Control Law, with respect to liquor license for Stonehouse Grill, Inc., doing business as Stonehouse Grill. Enclosed here is 30-day notice for municipality for a change in class for the above-mentioned Stonehouse Grill. We respectfully request a waiver for the 30-day wait period so that the applicant can proceed quickly with submitting the license application to the SLA. This is a 6-month process, and the waiver will expedite the process slightly. So this is that new steakhouse there at Clark Place.
They did a nice job renovating it.
Yeah, so I think,
Very nice.
no, not a fee. We're just not going to object to them doing that. Next, our Director of Recreation, James Gilchrist.
Good evening.
Consider request to amend contract for lawn maintenance of town parks.
Sure.
Jim?
So currently, we're contracting out about 9 properties throughout the town of Carmel with Greenway Cutting Services. They start the cutting usually around mid-April and go until probably beginning in November. Traditionally, we do it 1 day a week. Sometime in the springs, if we get a real heavy growth, we might have them come in for a couple of the parks, the athletic areas, and have them do a double cut. And then sometimes in the late August, September, if there's a drought situation, we'll hold back reassign some duties, so they might not be cutting, they might be doing more weeding or something along those lines, so. But traditionally, it's about once a week in the different parks. So I'm going to be having an issue this year with a personnel member that's going to be out beginning of the spring through potentially midsummer. So that's going to reduce my maintenance staff pretty much in half. So we did this back during COVID when we were mandated to put the workforce to 50%. We contracted out these 2 parks. We did it for a portion of the year until we can get the staff back in, reassign duties, and we were able to take care of all the work out there. Just to give you an idea, back in 2000, Baldwin Meadows was at $325 a cut. The new proposal that I got this year was $375, so they increased it $50, 2 years later. Sycamore Park, back in 2000, was $275 a cut. They've proposed the increase to $315 a cut, which is a $40 increase. The funds to cover this addition would come from my personnel line. I would transfer it over, so there really wouldn't be any impact to the budget.
Right.
And it would, if we don't do it, I'm going to have to peel back from doing other duties with day camp and a lot of other programs that are going on, and it's not manageable. So this request is, is definitely going to help us get through the summer with the reduction in staff.
Yeah.
Jimmy, if we go with this, what parks would our department be cutting?
So our department, we would potentially double cut the airport park if needed, depending on the growth, because we're irrigating that and Baldwin Meadows. So traditionally, they come in once a week, so we might go on the main field at Baldwin if they have a game on a Saturday. We might come in on a Friday, cut that. We cut all of the signs throughout town. They cut the rink. And any areas that need to be cut back, now we're taking care of the sign going up into the hamlet, that whole Stonewall area. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Which
That-
rink are you referring to?
What's that?
What, you said the rink?
Yeah, the Geary rink along Route 6. We've got to cut along that area, weed whack around the sides of the rink.
And do you anticipate, and it doesn't matter to me, I'm just asking
Yeah.
the question, do you anticipate this going forward this way into next year and
No.
thereafter, or?
No,
bringing it back?
I would, as soon as my employee comes back full-time to work, this would cease immediately.
These same?
Just these 2, yep. Yeah, we're able to handle doing these parks with our current staff, when everybody's in. When I lose one person, it's, you're losing almost 50% of the maintenance force out there. And cutting grass, this takes a lot of time. It's, you're weed whacking Baldwin. Sycamore Park is, a tremendous
know
amount of that
weed
job
whacking obviously takes a lot
is
of
weed
time.
whacking.
Right.
And we've taken on over the years now that we're maintaining the airport building, we have a lot more on our plate. The garbage is tremendous throughout the parks, just trying to keep up on all that. And, with the addition of the waterfront property, we actually maintain that property also now, too.
So the full amount for the addition of these 2 parks would come from the personnel line?
That's correct. Yep. And again, that would be as needed until this person comes back. Which I'm anticipating sometime, later summer. But if something does happen, then we would continue this right through to.
So then our contract would be week to week, or?
No, this would be for this year.
Right. so then
Each,
you're
we
saying-
have a.
As needed.
So, as needed for the year, that's what I'd be looking for.
Right,
for this
but
cutting
as you
season.
said, as needed, if the contract is for the entire summer,
Well, it's a 5-year contract that we have with this company,
so it would be for this year.
just this year only. Yep. And then as soon as my employee comes back, I would stop these 2 cuts on these parks.
Do you anticipate him coming back this year?
Yes, yep.
So
But-
what would you do then?
As soon as he comes back full-time, I would get in touch with, I would hopefully know before he's coming back. I would contact the contractor and say, we're going to stop cutting Baldwin and Sycamore, and I would reassign the duties within our department.
So will that be within the contract? That you're allowed to cancel it, those 2 parks before?
Yes,
Yeah.
well, that's,
It's a
these are not part of the contract. I'm just asking for, we have prices, Greg could probably explain that better than I can.
There's a 5-year agreement that started last year for the other
Right.
facilities. These are just going to be add-ons at our discretion here until we have the personnel coming back.
Okay, so it'll be written down as our discretion until, as needed until, okay.
So the gazebos, as long as
Yes.
I got you here before we move on to the playground. Are we going to get pricing on repainting them, scraping them, fixing the roofs? and
Yes,
all
I
that?
have, the Red Mills one, I have a Bloomer painting.
Thank you.
Lance
What
is
about the
going-
chamber? That is
That, I
in
have
need
Blue
of
Horizons, we had some damage to the roof
Yeah.
during one of the windstorms. So we're gonna fix the shingles that have blown off the roof. It's a cedar shake shingle, it's at a point now, it's gotta be replaced. But that's gonna be a big number. So until we figure out what's going on with the whole development of the park, I wouldn't put that number into the roof, just repair the areas that were damaged.
Good
Because,
idea.
we might wanna move, take it down, I'm not sure what direction we're gonna go in.
Yeah. No, that's good thinking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it.
So the next item is consider request to advertise for bids for the installation of playground equipment at Airport Park.
Yep, so we finally have all of the equipment in the right colors. We had everything delivered earlier this year, but the slides
wrong
were
slide,
the
yeah.
wrong colors, so those are in now. We've worked with the Recreation Committee on picking out it's a poured-in-place surface that we're planning on putting down. It's a rubberized cushion that's below the playground, and you'll see sample colors on the back. So the committee has suggested it's a beige and black mix there. I like the beige because it'll, kind of hide a lot of the dust and the stuff that's coming off the fields on there. If you go with any of the other colors, they can get very hot, and they also show. The blues or reds will show if there's any dirt on there. Traditionally, these playground surfaces are more of in an urban area, coming off of a blacktop off of a parking lot or a sidewalk. We're all in item 4 in grass. So, this is going to take a little maintenance on our end, blowing it off and cleaning it up, but it's an inclusive playground, and we thought it was very important putting a surface down like this instead of doing your traditional mulch below playgrounds.
Yeah, I like this because the mulch gets here.
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't you look at a couple different surfaces, foam surfaces?
Yeah, we looked at quite a few of them, yeah. We looked at, if you go down to Yorktown, they have a block system that's put in. We've looked, I like going with the 5 bars, the mulch systems, but, it's a messier setup, especially out there, it's so dry and windy to be all over the place. And it's harder for the kids to get around if they're in a wheelchair or if they have any kind of walking assistance devices to get out there. It's tough to get through the mulch. And also, I've been working with the engineering department on the bid package already. Rich has given me the front and the back end on this. This is going to be a public works contract. So I would be looking for the engineering department to put this out to bid. I have all of the specifications for the installation of the playground equipment and the surface. This really needs to be engineered. There's a concrete curb that goes around the whole playground. The area, when we built the park, was leveled out and designed for the playground. So there's really not much site work. But it needs to be pitched correctly. There's a lot involved in this. We're not just putting it out in the street, so I'd be looking for the engineering department to really put a little time into this and help us and put out a nice package.
Great.
I feel combining the installation and the surfacing, we're going to get some nice bid numbers, because that's what a lot of these playground companies do. If you just bid out the installation of the playground and put in the mulch, which we would do in-house, you would get a different kind of installer. So you're going to have playground companies coming and bidding on this, because the surface is very expensive. It's this is going to be covered through our dormitory grant for the playground. But it is quite a bit more than if you just went with the 5-bar mulch under there.
Right.
Jim, do you think we'll get this in the ground this year?
Yes, we will, yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
And then the last item for recreation, number 13, is Consider request to authorize acceptance of a grant, New York State Greenway Conservation for the Hudson Valley Land Trail, $3,900.
Yep. So it's a small grant, but I was very impressed with our grant writer. This is the first grant that we really worked from the beginning to the end and received everything that we asked for. This came from Ann Pasquarello's idea, if you remember, Mike. So why don't you send us over to Recreation and see if they could find something? So it's coming off of the bike path, any parks or trailways. That's what they're trying to do, is to increase that all. So the fellow Mike is our grant writer, did a tremendous amount of work. He worked with Nina in our department, and also a local landscaper that the engineering department uses, Kiko's Landscaping. I think the woman's name was Jean. She went and put a lot of time into this. They went up, they met throughout the park. She did her proposal. It went through the whole grant process, and we received a 50-50. So you get half of the amount, which was $7,800 was her proposal. The state will reimburse us by 50%. And this is very important, getting these grants, and if you do it correctly, you establish a work log, I guess you call it, on doing grants, because that's the first thing they always ask you. How many grants have you gotten? How did you do them? Did you do them on time? So we presented through our department, since I've been here, we've done probably in excess of $1.5 million in grants in all of our parks. And they went through that history, looked at all the grants, make sure everything went correctly. So that was important. And we're also, you're going to see, probably get an invitation. We were able to get some other grants through our grant writer for an arts grant. There's going to be an award ceremony later on this month. So that was, we're starting to get little by little. But he was throwing so much at us early on, and we were filling out and doing the paperwork, and we weren't getting the grants because we didn't have the established background for the grants. So once we build this up, I think we'll be in good shape for a community center, a swimming pool, things down the roads, larger grants.
That's great.
So,
And this one is to connect business areas with the bike path,
yes, yep.
which is great. I mean, a lot of people use the bike path, and I think it gives the business owners the opportunity to have people come off the bike path to, go into their businesses and whatnot.
So he was able to get support letters from our county legislator in that area. I think that was Amy Sage wrote a support letter for this. Kevin Burns, when he was with the state, wrote a letter. And I forget the other fellow, it was our,
Harcum?
Mahoney, was it Mahoney? He wrote a letter in support of this also. This was from last year.
Really?
Yep. So, and that was all part of the whole grant, which he
Maloney
reached out,
wrote a
he
letter
reached
for
out
us?
to them.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
That's the first letter I ever heard he wrote for us.
yeah. I'll send you the letter, so you
No,
can-
I don't
you can-
want it, thank you. Yeah, lightning struck, yes.
But Greg, what I'd like to do is if we can have, part of this resolution is if I can have Kinko's proposal, it's $7,800 as part of the resolution, that we would have them do this work. Because if I have to go out and get other prices from other landscapers, it's not going to be the same. Potentially, we can mess this grant up if it's not exactly what you specified in the beginning. And I think it's under the threshold for our procurement policy. For I think anything over 10,000, you need like a formal bid. You're just looking,
You need at least a resolution. If it's over 35,000,
Okay.
you need a bid, or 20,000, good. But you do need authorization for anything over 10. This
It's-
all would fall under.
it's $7,800. And then once we pay for this all, then we would get reimbursed half of it back. Once that, they see the prevailing wage, documentation, everything else that's involved. There's a lot that's involved with this grant, if you
Yeah.
read through it. They require a certain percentage of woman-owned businesses and everything else, so it's, going through the state, it's pretty difficult, so,
Well, thanks for doing that.
Well, I give her, Nina did all the work in our department, and the grant writer did a phenomenal amount of job, tremendous amount of work.
Yeah, she's good to have, Nina,
Anyway, yeah.
hard worker.
Do you have the proposal for the landscaper?
Yeah, I have it right here for you.
What is it in the back?
No, I didn't put,
That's fine. That's why it's there. That's right.
Yeah, so we all thank you.
you got it.
Thank you, Jim.
So I don't have do you have the next item?
I have it here.
Yeah, it's here.
Good, because I didn't get it.
Do you
Oh,
want to-
I don't need it, you're going to read it, but, number 14, Councilman Robert Shano, consider request, right? To
Yes.
allow building inspector to correct violations per Town of Carmel Property Maintenance Law, Section 114-15 for property at tax map 44.17-1, thank you, -45, 1 Fowler Avenue, Carmel.
which is also known as a gas station that was there for many years, was closed down about 15 years ago. Under new ownership, they began working on it, and there was a stop work order. I guess further investigation to the property determined that there was contaminated soil. So it remained that way for approximately 14 years. But I'll read the memorandum. Please be advised that we have made several attempts to contact the owner of the above-mentioned property to clean the remains of old gas station, pumps, buildings, materials, etc., and to maintain the property. The Town of Carmel Property Maintenance Code, Section 114-15, allows the building inspector to correct or cause to be corrected such violation, subject to the approval of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. We've made several attempts to contact the owners and received several complaints from adjoining neighbors. The last complaint was followed up with an appearance ticket and summons to Justice Court. However, nobody showed up to Justice Court. I am asking for the permission from the board to get bids to clean the property under the Property Maintenance Code of the Town of Carmel. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. Like I said, this has been in this condition for so many years. When I got on the board, I tried my best to push the envelope to try and get it cleaned up. We tried to contact the owner numerous times. That fell on deaf ears. Finally, we kept pushing the New York City DEC. DEC finally came around and they did started a cleanup. The cleanup became a little bit more than we intended or that we thought would be, but they ended up going down to the bedrock to remove the contaminated soil, plus the soil that was left on the property under a tarp that completely disintegrated. I just think it's totally appalling that a property could be left in that position, that kind of condition, with contaminants in it so close to 2 reservoirs. So I'm glad they finally got that cleaned up. There was a building on it. The building's been taken down. What's left now is a lot of debris, bricks, there's pumps, and there's a fence. I think it would be great for the town, for the downtown area, which is absolutely picturesque, beautiful, beautiful area, just to have that cleaned up. Okay, thank you.
And this is the building department, this is the building building superintendent's request for us to consider allowing him to get bids, right?
Yeah, so I'm thrilled that we're cleaning this up. Bob has heard me complain about that since I've been on the board.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled it's being cleaned up. I guess the question is, if it's gonna come back to us to clean it up, can we charge back the property
To their-
owner?
to their
the
taxes.
Costs and so forth?
Yeah.
So the process generally is you'll get proposals for the cleanup, and you'll commission the cleanup in accordance with whatever accepted proposal there is, and then the owner is to be billed. And if the bill isn't paid within 30 days, then the building inspector can file an affidavit with the clerk, and that can go on next year's re-levy for the taxes. That's the way it.
Do we know if the owner has been paying the taxes on the property?
Oh, I didn't check
We
that.
probably
I'm not
don't
sure.
know, but I'd just be curious.
Yeah.
So-
that the
Well,
county
luckily,
pays.
we get,
Yeah,
So if it's
yeah,
in
the
arrears.
county makes us
would be-
whole, so at least
county
we'll
would be
get the money.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder if at some point the property's gonna end up in the county's hands, but.
I'm not sure where it's at in terms
Yeah.
of the foreclosure list, but.
Yeah,
it
they're
took
way
eternity
behind on
for DEC to actually do the environmental cleanup. It was years and years and years that we tried to get that facilitated, but actually
Yeah.
happened.
I think the county's like way behind on the foreclosures. I think the number was, Aaron's not here now, but 28 million, I think, that they're in the hole for in back
Yeah.
taxes.
And
But-
it's about 4 years is their arrears list.
Yeah,
So they're probably doing 19 or 20, maybe now, or 18 or 19.
Wow,
Yeah.
that far behind.
They
yeah.
have to wait at
Wow.
least 2. But
But
COVID.
they're making us whole, so that's good. So
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
to
you, Bob,
Both
and-
of you for, the
Steve
continuing
and-
effort on that. I'm sure, Mike,
And Frank.
you're glad you won't hear Bob and I complain about it
That's right.
anymore.
I'm sure you'll complain about something else.
I have a list.
Yeah, I know. You gave me one before.
Very good. Something, that kind of, visible stuff
Right.
like that boat incident.
Yeah.
you know.
It's a poke in the eye.
Yeah.
It really is a
Yeah,
poke in the eye
I
to the
mean, it's
hamlet.
just- It's totally unacceptable.
Yes.
You know, totally unacceptable. And by the way, there's a tire on Curve.
And there's bags on Stillwater that
I've already sent
that
it.
Councilman Lombardi asked me about, and that was like a week ago, and it's still there. But, and to that point, so I sent a letter to Comcast and to Verizon. There are 257 of those broken poles that have not been, and hanging wires that belong to Comcast. There are 60 that Verizon hasn't fixed. 2 times now, our highway vehicles have been damaged because of low hanging wires. So I've sent a letter to Verizon and to Comcast. I know everyone complains about NICEAG, but I have to say, NICEAG, there are 90 poles that need to be corrected. They're working on it. They get back to us. I'm hoping that Matt at Comcast comes through and gives me a plan on what he's doing. And my thought was, now that, I've been complaining for a year and whatever it is, I don't know how long it's now, 15 months that we've been doing this. We're not getting anywhere with Verizon and Comcast. I'm going to take those letters, if we don't get a response, and go to Slater and Harcum and the Public Service Commission, and I'm going to make a formal complaint, because it's ridiculous if, to leave, everybody sees, that's one of the big eyesores in town, is these broken poles. It's ridiculous. So moving off of that, for comments, we've got tomorrow, Thursday, April 13th, from 11 to 2, our Congressman, 17th District, Michael Lawler, they will be here, his office, and at some point, Congressman Lawler will be here for office hours at the town hall. We've made space for him permanently going forward, but this is the mobile office hours that they've been doing. So if anybody, 11 to 2, you want to come and see the congressman or his aides, come here to Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue. In case you don't know where that is, it's right here. Saturday, we're having our shredded event. I hope that everyone remembers to bring their items that they want to have shredded. Bring 3 boxes. That's going to be at the Michael Geary Inline Memorial Rink parking lot on Route 6 across from the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. Residents only. You need to bring proof of residency. 3 boxes per car are allowed. We are underway of our town-wide cleanup. We've had some of the community service kids. I signed some forms for high school young men that came and were cleaning up the roads the other day. From April 17th to the 21st is going to be the cleanup week. Your help is needed and appreciated. Choose a section of road for cleanup and let the highway department know which street you're cleaning. Leave the bags on the shoulder of the road, and the highway department will pick them up if you tell us which road you did. Please call to register for cleanup. There's orange bags available, and we have vests and pickers at the town hall, in the supervisor's office and at highway. Highway department is 628-7474, and the supervisor's office is 628-1500, extension 139. Those are all my comments. Anybody else?
Just as far as the shredded day, I know we prefer that they bring them in boxes, bring your papers in boxes as opposed to plastic bags, just for recycling purposes. It makes everything easier. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, and this is just paper, it's not electronics, it's
Right.
not chemicals,
No.
it's not,
Yes, we're going to do electronics
Anything
in May,
other than
but
paper.
this is just paper. Yes. So if there's no other comments, then we're going to make a motion to adjourn. We're going into executive session. Before we adjourn, we have our town attorney, Gregory Fulchetti Esquire, to discuss some litigation, and we have our Parks and Recreation Director, James Gilchrist, to discuss personnel. So can we get a motion to?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we come back the 19th, I believe, right? So see you on the 19th. I messed up last time, I said the 15th. Yeah, so, good night, everybody.